Good evening, dear viewers. You're watching RTD's English News Edition. Here are our headlines for this evening. The IOM, along with the INST, organized a workshop on the importance of migration data. The international news concerning COVID-19, the outbreak of AstraZeneca vaccine, which will be the subject of an additional study. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Democratic and Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Sahle Work Zewde, will lead an important delegation from her country from tomorrow, Sunday, an official visit of 48 hours in Djibouti. A summit meeting with the head of states of Djibouti, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, and a working meeting extended to delegations from both parties will be the main steps of the official visit of Mrs. Sahle Work Zewde to Djibouti. Bilateral relations, the process of economic complementary, the strategic partnerships between the two nations in a number of key areas will be discussed during these various hearings. Djibouti and Ethiopia have for nearly 2 decades served as a model of economic and trade integration in Africa. Also, in view of the conflict in Ethiopia, particularly in the region of Tigray, there is every reason to believe that the talks will be partly dedicated to an exchange on development on the ground. The Republic of Djibouti supports the Ethiopian federal state in the restoration of the constitutional order in the Tigray region. All these topics will be discussed by the two heads of states in a joint press briefing scheduled for mid-morning before an official lunch to be hosted by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, in honor of his Ethiopian counterpart and the delegation accompanying her. The other highlight of Mrs. Sahle Work Zewde's visit will be her address to the Djibouti National Assembly on Monday. The Ethiopian President will also take advantage of her trip to our country to visit the key infrastructure of Djibouti's development, including port facilities, the Djibouti International Free Zone, and among others. She will also visit the new headquarters of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, in Djibouti. This visit of Mrs. Sahle Work Zewde, a well-known and appreciated personality in Djibouti, is part of the regular and periodic contacts, consultation, and meetings between the leaders of the two brotherly, friendly, and neighboring countries. As part of the Week of the Child, the Ministry of Women and Family, in collaboration with the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports, organized a fair for children of the Nasib city. The Minister of Women and Family, Mrs. Mumina Ahmed Hassan, and the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, have seen firsthand on the sports complex of the Nasib city, which has gathered 100 children who engaged in multiple games, the various disciplines of martial arts, namely judo, taekwondo, and kung fu. The two officials appreciated the children and the sportsmen who fully enjoy their free time by doing sports. The inhabitants of the Nasib city thanked in turn the two ministers that visited them for the occasion, and they said this shows their attachment and dedication to the policy of President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, who contributes to the development of young people in the country. The International Organization for Migration held yesterday a workshop to launch the technical working group on migration data in Djibouti. This meeting is part of the joint initiative for the protection and reintegration of migrants funded by IOM. The Director General of the National Institute of Statistics of Djibouti, INST, Idris Ali Sultan, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Family, Anissa Hassan Badon, and a representative of the International Organization for Migration, chaired yesterday at the People's Palace a workshop on the revitalization of national coordination mechanism for migration data in Djibouti. This workshop therefore brought together governmental and non-governmental institutions with statistics on migration in Djibouti. Its objective was to revitalize the national coordination process on migration data and to serve as a platform for discussions and exchange to facilitate the production and sharing of factual data on migration in Djibouti. More specifically, the workshop enabled stakeholders to jointly develop the terms of reference for the technical working group on migration data and for the various ministries and departments to express their concerns and priorities. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Family, Ms. Anissa Hassan Bahdon, has stated in her intervention that the protection and promotion time will enhance its ability to become a key element for the development of migration data. As for the Director General of the National Institute of Statistics of Djibouti, INSD, Idris Ali Sultan, said during this event that the issue of migration is an important issue and that many institutions are interested in statistics, data, and information sharing on this aspect. As a follow-up to the sectoral meeting, the Ministry of Labour in charge of the reform of the administration continued Thursday noon at the Palace Kempinski Hotel this event, professional lunch. Its event for more promoting a social momentum. Many guests were present, including the Minister of Labour, responsible for administrative reform, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and various diplomats residing in Djibouti. The various personalities present took turns to speak, to give their opinion, explain how to make their contribution to building the promotion of decent jobs in Djibouti. It is a matter of conducting advocacy by implementing a communication plan for employment and thereby generates responsibility and commitment of economic actors for a concerted, supported and successful integration into the workforce. Mr. Mberek Hadoul, chargé d'affaires of the MPC of the Kingdom of Morocco in Djibouti, has on his part highlighted a finding that was pleasant to him, that the Republic of Djibouti and the Kingdom of Morocco have excellent relations of friendship and cooperation that continues to strengthen. The National Agency for Disabled Persons organizes the second edition of the National Disability Week from November 28th to December 2nd, 2020 to celebrate the second anniversary of the agency and the International Day of Disabled Persons, a week placed under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, and that will be marked by a number of activities to highlight achievements and progress in the promotion and protection of the rights of persons with disabilities in the Republic of Djibouti. Thus, the activities of the National Week of Disability begins today with the official launch on Radio Television of Djibouti, the various activities that will take place to inform people with disabilities, but also in general the entire population of Djibouti. The National Agency for Persons with Disabilities was created by a presidential decree and directly under the responsibility of the presidency. The mission of this agency is to protect, care for, and defend the rights of persons with disabilities on the national territory. Following the example of the capital, the immunization campaign against poliomyelitis to be started in the Arta region. The ceremony to launch the national polio immunization campaign took place in the Arta Medical Center. The ceremony, which was chaired by the prefect of the Arta region, Mr. Mohammed Sheiko, and as well as the president of the physician of Arta region, Dr. Yaqub Hussein Ardeye, the president of the regional council, Mr. Ilmi Bouh, and as well as several other executives from different bodies. The vaccination campaign against the virus, organized by the Ministry of Health in close collaboration with WHO and UNICEF, was launched by Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed on November 25 throughout the national territory. The vaccination campaign, which started today at the Medical Center of Arta, will last for 4 days. Also, the village of Bal'o was also chosen to host the regional launch ceremony of the mass polio immunization campaign under the leadership of the head doctor of the Medical Center of Tujara, Dr. Hassan Balla. Located on the borders of the Tujara region, the symbolic choice to launch this campaign from the village of Bal'o finds its justification in its border position where the risks of viral introduction is greater. All children aged 0 to 5 in the Tujara region are targeted by this vaccination campaign, which will take place over 4 days. Indeed, fixed posts and mobile teams will cover each village and each locality to immunize all the children targeted by this campaign against polio. The Regional Sub-Directorate of the State Secretariat of Youth and Sports organized a closing ceremony of the tournament and trophy presentation launched 4 weeks ago in the championship of basketball, handball, volleyball, swimming, 100 meters speed and petanque. The championship ended on Friday, November 27 at the sport complex of Tujara. This tournament brought together several teams of all categories in boys and girls. As for the final of women's handball matches, which also took place in the same day at the ICS team cross sports with the team FC complex. This match ended with a score of 3 goals in favor of the IC team, 2 goals scored by the team FC complex. The president of the Regional Council of Tujara, Mr. Omar Hussein, and the deputy prefect Saleh Hamadou sponsored the ceremony of awarding trophies of the tournament. The Djiboutian Athletics Federation organized yesterday morning, Friday, the third edition cross over the Asajok in Ali Sabih 10 kilometers. The kickoff of this race across Asajok was given by the prefect of the region, Mr. Moussa Aden, in the presence of the president of the Djiboutian Federation of Athletics, Said Ismail, parliamentaries of the region, the regional director of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports. This race saw the participation of 200 young people in all categories, namely juniors and seniors. The 10 kilometers race saw the participation of clubs of the National Army, the Republican Guard, the Gendarmerie, the National Police, as well as residents of the School of Sports Studies. And this sporting day spent in the Asajok region ended with the awarding of trophies to the winners of the various events on this program. The different winners of the 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers race received each of the trophies in the hands of the responsibles. And in this opportunity, we are saddened to announce the death of the late Mohammed Osman Farah last night in Djibouti. The late Mohammed Osman, born in Ali Sabih, aged 74 years, leaves behind a large family, including 2 widows, 8 children, and a dozen grandchildren. The deceased had a brilliant career in the gendarmerie, and he was known for his kindness and wisdom within the whole national community, especially in his region. Sharing the grief of the family of the late Mohammed Osman Farah, the President of the Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamid, the Minister of Budget, Abdul Karim Aden, the Minister of Labor, Mr. Ismail Ibrahim, the Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama, the Director General of the RTD, Mahmoud Suleiman, the Director of Expenses Control, Mohammed Hassan Osman, addresses their most saddened condolences to the family of the deceased and pray to welcome the deceased in his eternal paradise. In addition, the Prefect of the region of Ali Sabih, Mr. Moussa Aden, the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Omar Ahmed Wais, the parliamentarians of the region and customary chiefs of the Asajok region expresses their sincere condolences to the relatives and families of the deceased. All of them pray to Allah the Merciful to grant peace to his soul and to welcome him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moving on to the news around the world, in Libya, volunteers revive a war-torn school at the School of the Martyrs near Tripoli. Teachers and parents are mobilizing to rehabilitate with the means at hand the fields of ruins left by intense fighting between rival factions. The walls have been partially repainted, the furniture installed, and the anti-computer screens dusted off. But the guarded roofs and held strict walls are a reminder that the war went through here. The fighting in Libya has deprived 200,000 children of the chance to learn. UNICEF deplored in nearly 2020, worrying about a bleak future of Libyan children. Senegal was rated spared by the COVID-19 crisis. The country has recorded a few cases, and currently of the 15 regions in Senegal, 6 no longer report any contamination. The government adopted a series of measures as soon as the virus appeared in March. Its good management of the pandemic has been praised by the World Health Organization. However, Senegalese health experts warn against an overly optimistic interpretation of the viral situation in the country and laxity in barrier measures. And doubts were raised about the efficacy of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which will be the subject of an additional study. The vaccine was found to be 70% effective after preliminary large-scale trials and will be further investigated due to the differences in results caused by difference in dosage against COVID-19. If these results are confirmed that this is not just a statistical problem, it could mean that the vaccine goes much further than we originally anticipated. And that's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on the radio television of Djibouti, and have a good night.